The Republic spent 85,000 credits on a new class shuttle carrying 30 clone troopers. The Separatists spent 12 million credits on a C-9979 landing craft carrying 2,500 battle droids, 114 armored assault tanks, and up to 144 droid starfighters. Run the per-unit math, convert to real dollars, and one side's deal looks brilliant, while the other looks like financial suicide. The catch is that the answer reverses depending on which metric you're measuring, and the cumulative totals point towards something the Senate never formally acknowledged. The math needs a working exchange rate, and establishing one quickly matters because the canonical prices only mean something when anchored to real purchasing power. The Galaxy's Edge parks at Disneyland and Walt Disney World use a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 credit, $1, for commercial simplicity. That's a floor, not an analysis. The actual purchasing power anchor for Star Wars currency is the X-34 landspeeder. Current Disney canon prices a new X-34 between 2,400 and 4,500 credits. A comparable new civilian personal transport today runs roughly $10,000 to $22,000, which maps to approximately $4 to $5 per credit on new units. Luke Skywalker sold his used X-34 for 2,000 credits on Tatooine, a buyer's market. A newer competing model was about to replace it, and he had no negotiating position. At $2.50 per credit, that's a $5,000 forced sale for a vehicle nobody particularly wanted. At $5, it's $10,000. Both feel right for a depressed market disposal of aging civilian equipment. A second data point confirms the range holds. The DL-44 heavy blaster pistol lists at 750 credits in period technical specifications. At $2.50 to $5, that's $1,875 to $3,750, a defensible price for the premium end of commercially available sidearms, the kind of firearm a professional carries rather than a civilian buys on impulse. Some fan analyses place the conversion closer to $1 per credit. At $1, the C-9979's 12 million credits becomes $12 million, roughly the cost of a large ocean research vessel, not a military transport delivering a combined arms invasion force. At $2.50 to $5, the same craft costs $30 to $60 million, which benchmarks against real medium-tier military procurement. A modern attack helicopter runs $30 to $60 million per unit. The higher range produces figures that mean something when placed next to actual defense budgets, and it remains defensible within the canonical price spectrum. 1 credit equals $2.50 to $5. That rate applies throughout. Republic side, first comparison. The LAAT/I gunship, manufactured by Rathana Heavy Engineering, 85,000 credits, carries up to 30 clone troopers directly into combat, with 4 speeder bikes in the rear hangar. Per trooper delivery cost, 2,833 credits, or $7,083 to $14,167 per soldier on the ground. 30 troopers, 2 crew, 1 sortie. Flip to the Separatist side. The platoon attack craft, 37,000 credits. One contemporary source describes it as the budget-friendly cousin of the MTT, the Trade Federation's cost-cutting instinct expressed in aluminum and repulsor lift coils. Its payload doesn't sit in passenger seats. When the PAC lands and the deployment rack unfolds, 112 B-1 series battle droids release in sequence, still in their folded travel posture, straightening and rising as activation signals arrive from the droid control ship above. Ranks forming before hands reach for blasters, the same mechanical sequence that opened the invasion of Naboo, repeated across every CIS engagement. Racks extending, droids unfolding, a formation assembling itself out of a transport that cost 37,000 credits. Per unit delivery cost, 330 credits. In real dollars, $825 to $1,650 per combat unit. The LAAT/I costs more than twice the PAC and delivers fewer than a third of the combatants. The Republic is paying 8.6 times more per unit to transport 27% of the payload. Neither vehicle has hyperdrive or strategic reach beyond the immediate battlefield, but on cost per combatant delivered to a landing zone, round 1 goes to the Separatists by a margin that doesn't require a calculator. At the mid-tier, a used new class shuttle, same 30 trooper capacity, older airframe, runs 50,000 credits. Per trooper cost drops to 1,667 credits, or $4,200 to $8,350 per trooper. 30 seats, 2 crew, no cargo capacity beyond what the soldiers carry. The Separatist counterpart is the multi-troop transport, 120,000 credits new. Standard configuration carries 112 B-1 droids in the same folded rack arrangement the PAC uses. Alternate loadout, 12 B-2 super battle droids at 3,000 credits apiece, the heavier model deployed for operations where durability matters more than numbers. Per droid cost at B-1 standard, 1,071 credits, or $2,678 to $5,355. The MTT costs more than twice the used new class, and still delivers 3.7 times the infantry at lower per unit cost. 2 vehicles, 2 rounds, 2 Separatist wins on efficiency. The pattern looks entirely consistent until the centerpiece matchup. The C-9979 landing craft, built by Hayor Chal Engineering, runs 210 meters long with a 370-meter wingspan and stands 150 meters tall. Those numbers don't fully capture what it looks like in deployment. The 4 massive wings aren't aerodynamic surfaces. Each one is a vehicle garage. Armored units are racked in internal channels running the full span of each wing, arranged in the kind of dense industrial stacking that makes the craft look less like a warship and more like a warehouse that grew repulsor lift engines. On final approach over a planetary surface, it descends in near silence from a defender's perspective, vast and slow, the wing channels already cycling open. When it touches down and the ramp systems engage, the deployment sequence runs armored assault tanks first, 114 of them in standard configuration, each worth approximately 120,000 credits if purchased individually. Behind them come the 11 multi-troop transports, each carrying 112 more droids in their own folded racks. Then 28 platoon attack craft, deploying yet another 112 droid complement apiece. From the far side of a planetary plane, watching this craft descend is watching the result of the battle be determined before a trigger is pulled. The logistics have already decided. In canonical pricing, and this distinction matters because the 2 Star Wars continuities produce math pointing in completely opposite directions, a C-9979 costs 12 million credits. At the working rate, $30 million to $60 million per vessel. Per combatant math on the droid passengers alone, 12 million divided by 2,500 equals 4,800 credits per droid delivered. At $2.50, $12,000 per droid. At $5, $24,000. The new class at 85,000 credits for 30 troopers, 2,833 credits per trooper. At $2.50, $7,083. At $5, $14,167. The Republic takes its first metric. Per combatant delivery cost, $2,833 against 4,800 credits. The new class delivers individual soldiers more cheaply than the Separatists' flagship transport delivers individual droids. The 2 rounds of Separatist efficiency wins are real, but so is this Republic advantage. The comparison only holds if you count the droid passengers and set aside everything else in the hull. The new class transports 30 soldiers and nothing more. No armor, no air support, no force multipliers beyond the troopers themselves. The C-9979 transports those 2,500 droids alongside 114 armored assault tanks. Price each tank separately, at 120,000 credits, and you get approximately 13.7 million credits in armor, more than the total cost of the ship carrying them. Whether the 12 million credit price covers the hull only or includes the full droid and vehicle payload isn't resolved anywhere in the canonical record. If hull only, a fully loaded C-9979 deployment prices out north of 25 million credits when the cargo is itemized separately. If all-inclusive, the craft is technically sold for less than the value of the armor packed inside its wings. That ambiguity is unresolved, and it's worth flagging as a genuine puzzle. This isn't a troop transport in any conventional sense. It's a combined arms delivery platform, one hull, one hyperdrive, one sortie, and an invasion already staged on the ground. The metric flip runs in both directions at once. Republic procurement wins on cost per individual combatant when counting direct droid passengers. Separatist procurement wins on payload volume, payload diversity, and total combined arms force delivered per credit. Both answers are simultaneously correct, and which one matters depends entirely on the operational problem being solved. One more layer on the canonical pricing question. In the Legends continuity, the C-9979 was priced at 200,000 credits new. At 200,000 credits for 2,500 droids, per droid delivery cost drops to 80 credits. The Republic's new class, at 2,833 credits per trooper, doesn't just lose that comparison. It loses by a factor of 35. In current Disney canon, the Republic wins on per combatant delivery cost. In the Legends timeline, the Separatists make the Republic look expensive by a ratio approaching absurdity. The answer to which side got scammed changes completely depending on which version of the galaxy is generating the prices. One structural fact about the currency tends to get overlooked. The galactic credit standard was backed by the wealth of Munilinst and the intergalactic banking clan. The IGBC was separatist aligned. During the Clone Wars, the banking clan backed the currencies of both sides simultaneously, meaning the Republic was conducting a 3-year war using money partially underwritten by the financial institutions supporting the enemy. That's the canonical article on the galactic credit standard, not an interpretive gloss. The same 12 million credits that bought one C-9979 could have been allocated 3 other ways within the CIS's own catalog, and the numbers produce uncomfortable comparisons. At 120,000 credits per MTT, 12 million buys exactly 100 multi-troop transports. 100 MTTs at 112 droids each, 11,200 deployable battle droids from the same budget, compared to the 2,500 carried directly by one landing craft. Per droid delivery cost via this method, 1,071 credits against 4,800 via the C-9979. Operationally, 100 MTTs can be spread across multiple fronts simultaneously and don't require orbital delivery infrastructure. No strategic airlift, no starfighter component, but on raw droid output per credit, it isn't a close comparison. At 40,000 credits per Vulture-class droid starfighter, 12 million buys 300 independent space-capable units. The C-9979 in carrier configuration holds 144 droid starfighters in its wing channels. 300 Vultures represents roughly double the fighter coverage the landing craft provides, with 0 ground delivery capacity. The most efficient allocation per droid deployed is also the least glamorous. At 37,000 credits per platoon attack craft, 12 million buys roughly 324 PACs. At 112 droids each, approximately 36,000 deployable battle droids from the same budget. Per unit delivery cost, 330 credits, 14.5 times cheaper per droid than the C-9979 achieves on its direct passenger complement. The C-9979 charges a premium for logistics consolidation above everything else. One jump coordinate, one arrival, a fully integrated combined arms force already on the ground before an effective defensive response can be mounted. The alternatives each demand separate staging, separate jump planning, separate command chains across multiple vessel classes. That logistical convenience costs the CIS a substantial premium over its own most efficient delivery platforms, and, within the catalog it's operating from, the landing craft posts the worst per-droid cost of any available option. The Republic never faced this internal trade-off. Both primary Republic transports, the LAAT/I and the new class, came in at 85,000 credits for 30 troopers. The Republic standardized on one price-to-payload ratio across two different vehicle classes and didn't deviate. That standardization begins to compound dramatically as the analysis shifts from per mission to cumulative war expenditure. The Republic entered the Clone Wars in 22 BBY with roughly 200,000 clone troopers ready at Geonosis and a Kaminoan contract for approximately 1.2 million total. No canonical source establishes the per-clone production cost in credits. No Kaminoan invoice price survives in any canonical record. What is confirmed, Phase 2 clone armor costs approximately 3,000 credits per trooper. The standard issue DC-15A blaster rifle adds roughly 2,200 credits. Equipment per soldier, 5,200 credits minimum, before the underlying cloning process, accelerated aging management, training, housing, or operational logistics overhead. Apply 5,200 credits to 1.2 million clones, 6.24 billion credits in gear for the initial army. In real dollars at the working rate, $15.6 billion to $31.2 billion for equipment only on the initial contract. Senator Hallie Bertoni of Camino introduced the Republic Military Enhancement Bill, which authorized an additional 5 million clone troopers purchased on freshly deregulated banking terms. Extend the equipment floor to 6 million total clones produced across the full war, 31.2 billion credits. At $5 per credit, $156 billion in equipment costs alone. That figure doesn't include the Kaminoan cloning contracts paid from the Republic Treasury, the LAAT/C carrier variant at 175,000 credits each, needed to deliver the Republic's own armored walkers to planetary surfaces, or the Venator-class Star Destroyers at 59 million credits apiece, anchoring the entire logistics chain above the ground war. By 21 BBY, with those numbers already accumulating, Senator Goom Sam introduced the Republic Financial Reform Bill to an emergency session of the Galactic Senate. The stated purpose: open new lines of credit with the intergalactic banking clan to fund continued military expansion. From the Senate floor came the most economically precise acknowledgement in the Clone Wars series. The financial cost of the war would bankrupt and cripple the Republic. That warning landed in 21 BBY, with 2 years of war still remaining, and Senator Bertoni's expansion bill not yet on the floor. Mon Mothma of Chandrilla flagged that the reform bill would strip all government oversight from the banking system. Bertoni's response from the Kaminoan Senate pod was that deregulation was a small price to pay to finance the war. The bill passed. The banking clan disclosed its new terms immediately. A banking clan representative addressed Senators Amidala and Farr directly. "We will lend to the Republic at our standard rate of 25%. Amidala: "What?" Farr: 25%? That's outright theft. The representative's response stripped away all remaining ambiguity. Please, please. That was before deregulation. The same rules don't apply, my dear. The Republic had just borrowed money for an ongoing war at 25% interest from an institution simultaneously offering the Confederacy identical terms. Bertoni's military enhancement bill then authorized 5 million more clone troopers financed at that same rate. The most expensive army in the galaxy was now being funded at the worst available lending terms, through a lender simultaneously financing the army it was fighting. The Republic never formally declared bankruptcy. No canonical source applies that word to the treasury.
What the record shows is a government that entered the war with no standing army, built one through borrowed credits, deregulated its lenders mid-war to borrow more at 150% higher interest rates, and exited the conflict with a war debt the Galactic Empire declined to honor. When the Empire eventually canceled the Kaminoan clone contracts, the stated reason was cost. The galaxy's most expensive army had become too expensive even for the totalitarian state that inherited it and its debts. The Senate didn't run out of political will. The ledger was reaching its ceiling at exactly the same time. 3 calculations stay open here, because the inputs are now assembled. First, cost per enemy combatant eliminated. In Legend's technical specifications, a B-1 battle droid costs 1,800 credits, chassis only, before the standard E5 blaster rifle adds another roughly 600 credits per unit. Clone trooper equipment runs at minimum 5,200 credits per soldier, also before production and training.
The casualty figures for both sides exist in varying estimates across the source material. The unit costs are above. What did each side spend per enemy combatant removed from the field? The numbers are all here. Second, cost per system secured. The Republic controlled approximately 1.3 million inhabited planets at the war's opening. The Confederacy held between 10,000 and 40,000 systems, depending on which period of the conflict you're measuring. The equipment floor for Republic war spending is 31.2 billion credits across 6 million clones, and that's before ships, vehicles, or the Kaminoan production contracts. Divide the Republic's total military outlay by the number of systems it actually controlled at war's end. That's your cost per planet held. The numerator requires some reconstruction, but the methodology is straightforward. Third, the C9979's true per sortie cost once the payload is itemized. The 114 AATs at 120,000 credits apiece total approximately 13.7 million credits in armor alone, more than the craft's listed price. If the 12 million credit figure covers the hull only, what does a fully equipped C9979 deployment actually cost when every vehicle and droid complement is priced separately? The canonical record doesn't resolve it. That one belongs to the comment section. And if you're running a Clone Wars campaign with Rise of the Separatists, now you know each side's procurement budget. If this kind of analysis is what you're here for, subscribe. There's more where this came from.